In recent years, illegal logging and charcoal production have become rampant in the Gambia, particularly in the Lower River and West Coast regions. These activities not only endanger delicate ecosystems, but also jeopardize the livelihoods of those who depend on forests for sustenance. Unscrupulous loggers are exploiting the country's natural resources, targeting valuable hardwood trees such as mahogany, teak, and even mango trees now, which are essential for maintaining ecological balance. Charcoal production, often viewed as a lucrative business, was banned in the Gambia by a presidential decree in February 1977. However, this law is not strictly enforced. We visited local communities in the Lower River region such as Sibito and Birkamanding in Kiang to speak to some individuals, mostly women, who are engaging in the charcoal production trade out of economic necessity, often overlooking the long-term consequences of their actions. The women in Sibito say they are left with no option but to be involved in charcoal production for livelihoods, reflecting on their daily struggles to provide for their families.
The reason we are burning charcoal is that we used to earn money from groundnuts, but due to the poor rainy season, there is no groundnuts available anymore. We have shifted to this trade to support our businesses.
Due to this illegal act, the forests in these areas are completely empty. All you can see are stumps of fallen trees. According to those involved in charcoal production, due to the emptiness of their forests, they now go to other communities to fetch firewood and trees to continue running their businesses. When asked if they are aware of the negative effects of their activities on the environment and that the act is illegal, they respond yes, but they have no other sources of income than this.
Every time we eat, drink, and the school fees we pay for our children comes from this charcoal business. We understand the health risks and environmental dangers.
If we had another option, we would gladly stop, but until then, this is our only means of survival.
In 2024, during a site visit, the alcalde of Birkamanding was also found red-handed producing charcoal, asserting that he wants to use the money generated from the charcoal to drill a borehole for his village. Cases like this are not new, as often they do not face the consequences of their actions towards the forest. A 2023 study by Frontiers in Forest and Global Change identified the primary drivers of forest degradation in the Lower River region as bushfires, land use changes, illegal logging, charcoal production, and firewood collection for domestic use. The collected firewood and charcoal are often transported to urban areas to meet energy needs, contributing to significant deforestation, soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, and increased carbon emissions. The lack of modern practices is making it more dangerous not only to the environment, but also to the health of those involved in the production. Many environmental and climate change activists believe that the government is the main driver of deforestation, citing recurring degazetting of forests and giving them to private business operators for use, which they say encourages ordinary people to also engage in the act. The recent issues in 2024 saw activists and community members protest the clearing of the Sukuta Salaji forest given to Gambian business tycoon Mr. Abubakar Jawara for basal to sell in.
Using a portion of the forest as a basalt depot, truck garage, poses significant risk to the health of the masses. These non-forestry activities will undoubtedly affect our ecosystem, damage forest cover, and accelerate impact of climate change on our community.
We have Sukuta Salaji forest, which has been deforested, and then we are here to advise the Minister of Environment that with immediate effect, we need a stop, as it is written in our banner here.
What makes protecting the forest from loggers more difficult is the fact that forest officers and senior government officials have been alleged accomplices in these illegal activities. Meanwhile, communities like Gunjur in the West Coast region are also not left out of deforestation and other environmental-related challenges. Lamin Jase, a native of Gunjur, is an environmental and climate change activist who leads the Gunjur Conservationist Association, made up of 7 groups advocating for environmental protection.
Very recently, our forest covers are under serious challenge. Unfortunately, the sitting government started to decassette the forests that been there for far too long. So the population follows suit because there are very fragile environmental forest covers rather that are. People are optimistic. They don't know whether they should cut this or they should not. But as far as the government started degazetting, they said, yes, we have all the opportunities. So when government is doing this, they also started, we have lost a very important forest covers this time because the government did not take it seriously. That is why if you're sitting government, you need to make sure you control your action very seriously, because if not, the impact is very massive.
In 1998, a forestry bill passed into an act permitted the sale of charcoal, but only if it was imported with proper documentation from the country of origin. However, this illegal activity has further exacerbated over the years. Between 2001 and 2023, Gambia experienced a total loss of 717 hectares of tree covers, marking a 16% decline since 2000, with the western region responsible for 91% of this loss. We also engaged the Regional Forest Officer for West Coast Region, Mr. Sisawa Sabali, on the current state of illegal logging and charcoal production in his region and how has it changed over the past few years.
Our forest is degrading at a very alarming rate. And some of the causes, the major causes, is overexploitation and bushfires. Without following the due process, people just get up, get into the forest, just fell the trees for their personal and selfish benefits.
Data from Global Forest Watch reveals that in 2020, Gambia had 249,000 hectares of natural forests, accounting for 23% of its land area. However, by 2023, the country lost 295 hectares, resulting in 172,000 tons of CO2 emissions.
We have a great number of sawmills that are operating in this region, some of them without even license. These sawmills can convert large number of wood on a daily basis. It has come to a level that the major tree species that we use for timber in this country are exhausted.
We spoke to the head of Information and Data Management Unit at the Department of Forestry under the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, Mr. Suleiman M.S. Jan, about their efforts in enforcement methods put in place against illegal logging.
We engage. Our management has parallelized shift from conventional management to community forest management. Now, we are engaging communities, as you have alluded to here. How many communities are engaged in community forest? About 700 communities are engaged in community forest in the Gambia. And just recently, I'm part of the team. We are countrywide. We are distributing certificates. We are handing over back the community forest to the communities. All these people, if they are caught, we normally take them to the district tribunal, to the chief. We do court there. But we will review the Forest Act. If there will be a room for we to see how best we can able to do it, and magistrative court also.
In 2021, the Gambia government published the National Forest Policy 2023 to 2032, aiming to achieve sustainable forest management by conserving at least 30% of the country's forest cover. While this policy supports socio-economic development and environmental protection, questions remain about its implementation. Mr. Jan explains the steps being taken by the Department of Forestry to realize the goal of the policy.
The Department of Forestry is taking a very good dimensions to make sure that we address whatever is embedded in the policy by engaging local communities, because we cannot do it by ourselves alone, but we have our local communities that we are working with. Those are our local community forest members, and also other partners.
Since 1946, human activities and climate change have led to the destruction of nearly 50% of the Gambia's forest cover, according to estimates from 2019. Many believe that the government should introduce modern methods for the country to continue producing charcoal. But for Mr. Jan, that is impossible and will never take place, citing its negative impact on the environment. Why can't it be implemented in the Gambia?
No, because it's illegal at the moment.
So can't we?
No, we don't have that resources here. We don't have that resources in the Gambia to ban charcoal burning, to legalize charcoal burning. We are given only vendor license. We have production license and we have vendor license. So these two different licenses, people fail to understand. But once we said we are not given production license, that means you cannot do it in the Gambia here. Wherever you see a oven of a charcoal in the Gambia, the person is doing at his own detriment rate.
In the Gambia, the punishment for illegally felling forest trees is laid out under the Forestry Act of 2018. According to the Act, unauthorized logging or felling of trees without a permit is considered an offense. The penalties can include fines, imprisonment, or both, depending on the severity of the offense. Offenders may also be required to pay compensation for the value of the trees illegally harvested, as well as for any environmental damage caused. But despite the availability of this law, illegal logging and charcoal production still persist. Climate change has had devastating impacts globally, and the Gambia, particularly vulnerable to its effects, has experienced phenomena such as flash floods, high sea tides, high temperature, and decrease in rainfall. A major contributing factor to these issues is deforestation, as trees are essential in regulating the climate. As the smallest country in mainland Africa grapples with the dual challenges of economic development and environmental conservation, the future of its forests and the diverse life they support hangs in the balance. Immediate action is therefore essential to protect the country's invaluable natural resources before it's too late. Mariama Dem, reporting for Start